All right, everyone. An international arrest warrant has been issued for Vladimir Putin. Yes, the non-orange Hitler, as he is colloquially referred to by his detractors, on the basis of war crimes pertinent to the Ukraine war. Now, we have seen civilian locations shelled. We've seen plenty of schools and hospitals get hit. We've seen kids die, etc., etc. You do have war rape going on, although I have a feeling that that's common among Ukrainian troops too. The idea of they are devils and we are angels usually is not true in a wartime scenario. Militaries tend to act in similar fashions. It's just an ugly side of war. And of course, that causes the civilian population mainly to suffer. So yeah, I mean, the charge does make sense. I would say that it also applies to other recent world leaders, though, and never seems to be applied to them. Like Bush in Iraq. Plenty of civilians dead there. We were letting mercenaries run wild for a significant period of time until that famous bridge incident where some Blackwater members were hanged and then burned. Those were interesting times. It was like 2005, I think, something around there. Anyway, Bush engaged in similar behavior. Obama engaged in similar behavior. He was even more drone happy because drone tech developed over the course of the war, especially in Pakistan. And they used to bristle at this. They complained multiple times. Even U.S. allies, by the way, had complained about the U.S. troops' behavior throughout the 2000s, especially in Afghanistan and Iraq, although there were other theaters too. The Syrian War comes to mind. The French operating in North Africa. Again, major players typically face the claim of war crime, excessive force, illegal occupation, etc., but the globalist system is very slow. Here, after over a year, somehow still that is a more expedited process to hold him accountable. Here's the problem, though. This doesn't hold Putin accountable. It's a freaking show. This is literally just for show. This is effectively a diplomatic extension of, hey, we're mad at you. And that's because if you look at a list of the countries that are signatories to the specific deal where they will honor international arrest warrants, it's countries that are already either funding or arming Ukraine, countries that don't really have trade ties to Russia and that Putin probably wouldn't be visiting anyway, with only a couple of exceptions. One of the signatories, oddly enough, is Mongolia, which is sandwiched between Russia and China. Therefore, they don't have a lot of other trading partners. What would be really interesting is if Putin shrugs it off and then decides to go to Ulaanbaatar tomorrow and hold a dinner with the leader of Mongolia, who then is pressed to arrest him by the West, realizing that he can't do so because if he does, then Russian troops will come in and flatten what's left of Mongolia after the Golden Horde has disappeared. That'd be interesting. I don't think that he's got the time to do that right now, though. It's just for show. This is a diplomatic maneuver, not a criminal one. When you issue a warrant or a rule or anything else that can't be enforced, it's for show. Happens in politics, by the way, all of the time. A law that you know is DOA and or if it passed it would be unenforceable due to some legal conflict is doing it for show. Hey, I've decided that I'm going to I'm the evangelical candidate. Well, I'm going to one-up all the other bastards running against me. My bill makes Jesus Christ the vice president and will design an AI program entirely based on the Bible that will represent Mr. Jesus in his vice presidential capacity. Oh, it didn't pass? Oh, strange. Oh, it did pass because my state has gone batshit? Well, I mean, good luck fucking enforcing it, asshole. You get things that are... I'm being a little hyperbolic, but only a little. You see laws like that proposed, by the way, in virtually any country. You're doing it for show, for political clout. In the sense of the West issuing such a warrant, and that is effectively what this is. This is NATO and its extensions issuing a warrant against Vladimir Putin. You're not actually going to send the gendarme into Moscow or St. Petersburg or wherever Vladimir happens to be that day and grab him. You're not going to actually, the Russians aren't going to arrest him, although it'd be interesting if Vladimir Putin fucks up too bad, like let's say the next battle really goes bad and Russia gets completely drubbed. The oligarchs there might arrest him. Maybe they'll give him over to the international community. Actually, that gives them a way out. That could be the purpose of this. Yeah, let me explain. The oligarchs over there, naturally they want to carve part of Ukraine off. I don't think it's for ports though, because remember, Turkey, which just greenlit Finland's entry into the NATO sphere, controls the Bosphorus. Those warm water ports mean absolutely nothing when the Bosphorus is controlled by a NATO member that is clearly leaning back a bit towards the west. I think that the Turks, I think they're getting a little bit nervous about the situation politically and militarily. They don't want another main player on the Black Sea, I suppose, or something like that, because they've got one of the top 10 militaries. They don't want to be in conflict, so they would prefer it not to happen in the first place. I mean, the writing's on the wall here. Now, Vladimir Putin, his troops have advanced into Ukraine. They are still facing stiff resistance. It could be that someone behind the scenes is going to stab him in the back. That sort of court intrigue is very, very common in that part of the world, you may have noted. Now, I'm not making that prediction, but I mean, it would fit. If it happens, it wouldn't hugely surprise me. Well, there's been a revolution in Russia. The oligarchs have deposed Putin, and they're going to send him off to Den Haag. If they were to do that, it'd basically be like, hey, you know, we can't really win this war, and we can't keep funding it. We're going to throw Putin under the bus, let him handle him, and we'll say, sorry, we'll withdraw from most of the land and enter negotiations. As long as we can keep Crimea, I'm sure that would be on the table. That'd be an interesting one. Again, only in Russia would I expect that such a thing would actually happen, but it's Russia we're talking about. Anyway, the war in itself is completely meaningless. Again, Russia's a nuclear power with a top 10 military. You can't simply come barging through their door and grab Vladimir Putin and run. You could have like some sort of, you could, send James Bond over or something like that and have a couple of ninja-like spies penetrate deep into the Kremlin and grab him potentially. The difficulty attendant to that and the danger if you get caught is, I think, way too high for them to attempt it. That sort of shenanigans really only happens on the DMZ at this point, where occasionally some DPRK spies will slip over the border. Actually, back in the 70s, didn't they try to assassinate the Prime Minister of South Korea? The President of South Korea, rather? I think they did. I think they got fucked. Not surprising. Probably stand out like a sore thumb, considering they're 6 inches shorter on average because of malnutrition. Anyway, long story short, the warrant doesn't really hold any water. It's irrelevant. Interesting. It could point to palace intrigue. It'll probably keep Putin on his toes more because of the ever-present risk in a country like Russia of such a thing happening. I don't think it really changes the trajectory of what's going on there. That's about all. Peace out.